Okay, couture crafters, let's start playing with some fairy stamps and such. So I just finished making a ton of these backgrounds. If you want to see how I did that, check the previous video or just look at my feed. So now I've decided to cut these down a bit, and I think I am cutting this first one down. It's a little over 7.5, so I chose 3 3/4, and they're not exactly even, but that'll work. So I'm flipping it around, trying to figure out which way I wanted to go. And remember, the colors that Aisha asked me for were turquoise, purple, orange, and fuchsia. So I'm trying to give the people what they want. This is regular cardstock. Yeah, this is not the glossy cardstock that I used in the previous video, but I still chose to use archival ink for whatever reason. Fine by me. No, I didn't have any issues with it, but it wasn't necessary. I could have used dye inks or whatever. So I'm using my mini archival inks. Some of these are by Tim Holtz, which means they're in his distress colors. I actually want all of them in larger ink pads and all of his colors. Now that I can see the use for them. I mean, archival ink is great to have. It's waterproof, and it will go over glossy cardstock and actually stay. It's a stay put kind of ink. You can't Copic color with it, but it's still a great one to have in your stash. So I'm using stamps from Crafter's Companions Fairy Collection and also Livinia stamps. That's Livinia, Livinia, I think it is. Yeah, I believe so. She is the queen of fairy stamps, so she has fairy silhouette stamps. So, I mean, everybody uses her stuff, including me, and I just have gone out and bought a ton more, and I'm planning on buying even more because, hey, it's fairy stuff. It's pretty and it's simple. You can focus on backgrounds and then drop a silhouette stamp on there, and you have instant beauty. I really like those vines from Crafter's Companion that came in one of their sets that they have on HSN, and it's pretty. I wish it was bigger and longer, but it's really kind of cool, and you have the ability to flip it all around. So I know I want to have two focal points on this art journal card or whatnot, and this was such a fail. I was so upset. I put it in my Tim Holtz platform so that if I needed to stamp it again, it would be in the same place, no biggie. I put the magnets down, and for whatever reason, it just failed. So I hate this because I wasn't able to push it up in the corner because I needed the fairy house to hang over the side a little bit. My magnets failed me on this. Watch what happens. I lift it up, I stamp it, I see that I didn't get a good impression. I put it back down, and it moved. So I have like a double, like a shadow behind my image. And I'm deciding if I'm going to scrap it or if I'm going to keep going. I decided to keep going. But it's got like that little, it's got a halo. It looks like it's been stamped twice because it has been stamped twice. Not in all the areas, just on the actual house and then the thing that's dangling down from the bottom of the house. Which annoys me, but I stayed with it because when you work on these backgrounds, not that these backgrounds were difficult to do, but, look, I was annoyed. I'm using Ranger Archival ink here in black to stamp the fairy. And I got a pretty decent impression for her. Although I could have stamped her again because I could push this one up in the corner because she wasn't hanging off at all. I hope that makes sense. So now I'm like, what do I want to do for foliage? And I don't have a ton of it yet. I'm going to fix that. Turns out I need a bunch of... Actually, why didn't I think about all that Altenew greenery I have? You know what, guys? I am so lame. It didn't dawn on me until right now doing this video that I probably have more greenery than anybody because of all those Altenew flower sets that I buy. I'm going to look into those and see if any of them will lend itself to my fairy making art journal stuff. Why didn't I think about that? I have all kinds of greenery. Matter of fact, I think I have a stamp set that's full of nothing but greenery from Altenew. How about that? Okay, so I'm using purple from Catherine Pooler, crushed grape, to stamp at the bottom here. Remember, our colors: purple, fuchsia, orange, and teal. So I got our teal in the top. And now I'm using these. These are so pretty from Livinia stamps. I think they're called Make-A-Wish randomly because they're not dandelions. I don't know. But they're pretty. And I like them. They're some of my favorite. I mean, she just has really cool, whimsical shapes because she does fairy stuff. So I'm stamping these in black, which means they're going to stand out from that purple, even though that purple is kind of on the darker side. It's not kind of, it is on the darker side. This black still stands out really good against it. And I'm just debating where I'm going to put it. And I plop down 3 of those flowers there. I can't wait to buy more Lavinia stuff, especially seeing as all that I'm using it. We want to use our stuff. So now I'm doing some second generation stamping just to fill in the bottom a little bit more. I kind of wish I had stamped the flower on the far left kind of at an angle a little bit to give it some movement, but oh well. So now I'm taking this and I'm stamping in archival ink, and I thought about that. I don't want to do that because you cannot Copic color with archival ink if you don't want to mess up the nibs of your Copic markers. I could have done watercolor with the archival ink, but that's not what we're doing. We're getting ready to Copic color. So I grabbed my Memento Tuxedo Black, which is my jam. I know I have that Gina K amalgam ink or whatever, but when it comes to my Copic ones, I don't care. I know for sure Memento works. It's never failed me. I'm loyal to that for that, period. So I don't use any other inks. I think they say Catherine Pooler's works with Copics. Alta News works with Copics. I have those, but we are not doing it at all, for sure. So now we're going to stamp this other flower. I stamped it 3 times. I think I stamped 2 different sizes. I did. The one in the center is much smaller. And so now we're just stamping the other ones too. So now I'm using my Tim Holtz platform because I need to stamp that large bird feeder again. Not a bird feeder, it's a fairy house. I'm stamping the large fairy house, but I need to be able to stamp it twice in case I don't get a good impression because this one has a ton of detail, and it might be time for me to purchase another Memento Tuxedo Black ink pad, maybe. I don't know. It seems like it could be possibly time, and instead of just refilling this, I think I'll just buy another one. I do the same thing with my Versa Mark. I just buy another one. I don't know why, I just do. So this will be the first time that I've ever had to replace the Memento Tuxedo Black. So I am making the fairy house purple. So I'm starting off with my lightest color purple and I'm just going around. Now, what's kind of cool about this is really all you need to do, I'm not going to cut out all that detail. I just need to cut where there is mostly black and then just stick it on top and it's going to work out. You'll see how it works out. It's weird, but it kind of tricks the eye. So I'm going over with the darker color where I kind of want it to be. And I wanted the birdhouse to be mostly the darker color of purple with just a little bit of highlight around the outside. So that's what I'm doing. And then you can see I'm kind of doing the same thing with the one down there at the bottom. I start off with the lightest color. I go in with the darker color and then work my way backwards. That's my style of Copic coloring. I am not a Copic colorer. I'm just somebody who happens to own a couple of Copic markers and thinks they're special and tries to use them every now and then. I need to use them more because they're a very expensive marker. And I actually need to get some more colors. I think I bought I only have 4 sets. So I have the A, B, C, and D sets. And I'd like to fill them in a little bit more, especially with these purples. I feel like my collection is lacking in purple. And purple is my favorite color. So, yeah. I fussy cut these out. You guys know how much I hate fussy cutting. However, these weren't too bad. And then I'm going around it with black Pitt artist pen marker. It's the India ink. This one also doesn't bleed. It's waterproof. And it's what I had. So, and it's very black. So now I'm just gluing these on top with my art glitter glue. I don't think I showed that. It's tedious. Where did I put those tweezers? I was looking for those again, and I did not remember seeing them anywhere. So I glued it on, and now I am just trimming off the things that are hanging over. And now we have a colored house and flowers. Isn't it pretty? I like it. This is a good color combo, I think. And so I'm going over the outside, just adding in a little bit more detail because, again, I didn't get the greatest impression. And now I'm going to add some sparkle because it's fairies, and so you have to add sparkle. I should have done this before I added the sparkle, but I go around the edges, not over the entire thing, but just over the side to kind of frame it a little bit and give the card some more dimension and add in a little bit more of the color. So this is what happens when you mix that orangey color with wilted violet. You kind of get a fuchsia-y color. Fuchsia-y. I'm surprised that this is showing up purple on top of that yellow down there and not brown. But it's coming up, for the most part, purple and fuchsia-ish. It's coming up wilted violet. And then I grab a little black soot just to darken it a little bit. I need to trim this card down just a bit because, as you can see, it doesn't go, the bird feeder looks like it's hanging from nothing, and so you want to cut that off. And the bottom part, the fairy, was not all the way in the ground, so I had to cut that off. There we go. Now it looks like it's hanging from a tree above. And then I just go over the edges with the black and frame it up a little bit more. So now to add some more detail, I'm going back in with some more glitter stickles in a teal color and just kind of putting a few little fairy spots. And then I'm looking at what to do with her wings. And then I decided, I didn't want to use my gel pens for her wings. I wanted to use my Wink of Stella pen. So I went in and filled in her wings with an iridescent pen. I did a little sparkle on the tops of the leaves and a little bit on the house and the windows, which was really pretty. And then I did some white highlights on the tips of this dandelion and some highlighting on my flowers here and highlighting kind of all throughout the card. Just, it really adds a little something when you add this white in. Then I decided I want to put a sentiment on there. This sentiment was obviously part of the Christmas fairy set, so everything is like, have a fairy Christmas or whatever. There's two on here that I could use all the time. One of them is like sparkle, something about sparkle, and the other one just says twinkle. So obviously I need some more fairy sayings or some more magical somethings because all those Christmas sentiments are not going to work. I grabbed my VersaFine Clear for this. It's black. It transfers beautifully onto cheap stamps. And this is not glossy cardstock. If this were glossy cardstock, I would not be able to use it. I put it in here in case I didn't get a good impression. Good thing, because I didn't get the greatest impression first off. So I was able to stamp it again in the same spot. And there we have it. Our card is finished. Thanks for hanging out with me. See you later.